Well, good morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. I'm Chris Burdick. That is Sparky. Sparky, good morning.
Good morning.
Let them know what they're in for, my friend.
Oh, we got a jam-packed show like always, but we'll get into hopefully some WNBA news. We've got some news out of the WWE, and we'll have Chris Orr return. He'll be here at 7:30, followed by it is Tuesday, so we'll talk all things wrestling with our guy 24KG at the top of the hour, followed by J-Burd, which means he's got a show coming up. We'll hear a lot more about that. You can call or text in anytime at 661-842-2000. And before anything, just a big happy birthday to my wife, Ghostface.
Aw. Happy birthday, Ghostface.
Yeah, so
We won't ask the other question to this,
she is now at legal age.
Legal age, good. Good. I'm happy to hear that. Look, man, you had to wait a little bit, Sparky. I've been telling you for months now. You can't just pop this question to these women and just not know that part.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I've learned, and happy birthday, Ghostface. But we've got a jam-packed show with a small amount of time to fit everything in.
We got maybe 30 minutes to knock this out before our guests get in here.
Where do you want to start?
You know what's funny is I was doing the prep yesterday and I sat there and kept pulling audio and I said, we ain't gonna get to all this.
We got time for this.
I mean, we had wrestlers on every ESPN show yesterday pumping up Elimination Chamber. I'm gonna save those for our guy KG because we have some answers to Tom Brady's cute comments from a couple of them, which I thought was
another major injury last night.
Yeah. Again, and you know what's funny? I saw, and I don't mean to get into wrestling early, but I saw something this morning that made me think about this. Did Seth Rollins fake an injury bring bad juju to the division? I'm going to bring that up with KG as well. Because again, you've heard me say it on this show. Unless I see it happen in a match for sure, I don't believe any of it anymore. Right. I don't.
And even as soon as I saw him pull it at his arm, I was like,
I did too. The minute I saw him jump over the top to break up the pin, and we're talking about Bronson Reed here, the big Auszilla, who's a 300-pound man, probably one of the most athletic people I've ever seen in my life for being that size. For those of you who are old school wrestling fans, this is probably your modern age Bam Bam Bigelow.
Bam Bam Bigelow is right where I think of.
Honestly, yeah, he's great. He's fantastic. But yes, he tore his bicep, I believe, is what we heard yesterday, which is
reports saying 4 to 6 months.
And I mean, obviously with Braun Breaker and the hernia situation, is there bad juju around the WWE's big bad faction right now? We'll talk about that with our guy KG at 8:00. But let's start because I think I got to tighten myself up, Spark, for something we talked about yesterday, and that's this whole Darren Peterson situation, the kid from Kansas. So there is a little bit more to this than meets the eye. We were talking about this yesterday because, I mean, again, as little as we've been able to follow NCAA basketball on this show, this has been one of the major talking points going into March Madness, and for good reason. This kid apparently, and I say apparently because, again, this was news to me until last night, the only kid that I knew of that was a for sure lock for the number 1 overall pick was Carlos Boozer's son. Apparently not. Darren Peterson is one of those guys that could potentially be the number 1 overall pick going into next year's draft. And the situation just seems to be a little stickier than originally conceived by myself. And I will take full responsibility for that. He's had multiple injuries to his knees and ankles. He has cramping issues, I guess, is what the thing is here. And the brunt of the criticism that I keep seeing is that he kept holding himself out. He would bench himself during games, which is true. He has done that throughout the entirety of the season. But that's where it was confusing to me. Was there a valid reason for this? I mean, you even heard us say yesterday, how does this really fit into the scholarship deal now with NIL and like in holding people or holding yourself out? Does that not hurt you going into the draft as well? Does that not hurt your draft stock? People across ESPN, including Stephen A. Smith, have criticized this kid for exactly that, for just holding himself out. And I mean, you're supposed to be a number 1 overall pick and you can't even stay on the court for more than 20 to 30 minutes, which seems like a lot. But when you're in the pros, you're going to be playing 30 minutes minimum, especially as a star player.
At a quicker speed.
Absolutely. So obviously I was just reiterating and parroting the criticisms that I've seen over the weekend of this kid and not fully understanding why he would be holding himself out. But from what I keep reading here and from the research I did yesterday, especially when it comes to the team itself and how it is structured and how they've really been able to gel together without him on the court, that I think is the biggest part of this story is, can Kansas figure out a way to play with him rather than without him, because they play better without him than they do with him. But the entire argument that this kid is holding himself out and the questions on his academic or his athletic character, I should say, as they keep saying, I kind of don't think it's warranted anymore. The more I've read into this, the more I'm putting research into this. I think this kid is legitimately dealing with injuries, and it's not necessarily fair for, honestly, people like me to go on the air and criticize this kid and say, his character's out of whack. Because from what I keep seeing and from what I'm understanding here, may not be the case. And yes, there are people going around saying that he might be, like Sparky said yesterday, getting some bad advice from people. But nobody knows the full truth here. And I'm just going to tighten myself up and say, you know what? I apologize, Mr. Peterson, because I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt here. You're a freshman. You're dealing with injuries. You're dealing with cramping issues. And although it's terrible timing and the way you're pulling yourself out does not look good,
Right.
but you're young. So obviously, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, maybe he's just doing what's best for his body. He can probably
Exactly.
read his body more than anyone. So
Exactly.
hopefully that's what it is.
Right. So I have a bite here, though, from Jay Bayless, who knows way more about this than we do. And even he doesn't know the full brunt of the story. But I think he said it well yesterday. And this is honestly the bite that made me really think about what I said yesterday on this show and really want to double back on it. So let's hear from Jay Bayless real quick.
Look, it's unusual, but in the absence of perfect information, which none of us has, except for inside the Kansas locker room, people are going to speculate. And I think some of the speculation has been honestly a little over the top. Like they're questioning this kid's athletic character, his want to, and all that stuff, as if he's making these decisions like, hey, I just had 18 against BYU and against AJ Devonsa. That's good enough for me, so I'm good. I don't think that's what happened, but I don't know. Maybe it did, but I don't think it did. And what I found really, really interesting was, the kid's getting pilloried for not playing in the second half of a game against Arizona. Or not playing at all, whatever it was. And then he only played one half in another game. And people were questioning that, like he needs to play. And then he plays the full game against Cincinnati and Kansas gets beat. And now he shouldn't play at all. Like, get rid of him. And we're like, what? It's one game. Like, what are you guys talking about? You got people out there saying he should shut it down, and Kansas is better off without him. Like, I promise you, they're not better off without him. They lost one game. It's not that big of a deal. But my thing, Rich, is if Darren Peterson were really getting advice from people about shutting it down would be the easy way to go, and the NBA would take him number one. Trying to play is what's causing these speculative issues about his character and all that other stuff. I don't find it fair, but if we had solid information that said so, then I'm good with it.
So it was the back end of that really made me think about it. If somebody was peddling to this kid, hey, just don't play, save yourself for the NBA, he wouldn't play at all. But the fact that he is trying to hit the court, he's been sporadic with it, don't get me wrong. And the weird one to me that I was reading into was the Arizona game where he was sick. He tried to do the shoot around before the game, but then right before the game started, told the coach, hey, I'm not feeling good. I don't think I should play. And then didn't. Coach Self really had no idea he was not going to play until they all walked out of the locker room that night. So does it look good for his draft stock? Absolutely not. I still stand by that. No NBA team is going to want to put money towards a player that they think is going to be injury prone or just not be on the court, especially if you're supposed to be drafted that high. It's going to be like you're not Kyrie Irving. At this point, you're headed towards missing as many games as Kyrie Irving did before he was drafted. But he was a phenom coming out of Duke. So Cleveland said, yeah, we're not even going to try to, make up an excuse for why we're not going to draft Kyrie Irving. I don't see that being the same case here with Peterson, though. Especially when we have two other guys that are arguably in the same conversation for the first overall pick. Now, does that mean that somebody at 3 or 4 isn't going to take a stab at it? No, I could see somebody still taking it pretty high here. But this is going to be a concern going into not only March Madness, because now everybody's wondering, as the number 8 team in the country, and arguably one of the better defensive teams in the country from what I researched yesterday, you still need your star player on the court, just like Jay Bayless said. And going beyond that, your NBA draft stock has to be taking a hit. I know Snacks came on yesterday and says he doesn't believe so. I think he does. Or not, I'm sorry. I'm not saying Snacks does. I'm saying I think this does. I think this genuinely hurts Peterson's draft stock. But
I think it does too. I think it's just the uncertainty.
yeah,
I think if we had a straight answer on what type of injury he's dealing with and the extent of it,
right,
I think we would understand it a little bit more. But the sprinkling in, playing here, playing there,
yeah,
and seeing how the team reacts to it,
pulling yourself out because of cramps.
Yeah, and I mean, I know he's young. My question is, do you think pulling himself out for the rest of the season and following the instructions that other people in his crowd are saying, do you think, I mean, that is the easy way out? Obviously, he knows he's a top 5 pick, top 2 pick if you look at it now.
Right.
But does that say this dark cloud follows him,
right,
and the media continues to take shots at him? Do you still think for his future, obviously we know how much these college players are getting paid.
Yes.
Do you think it'd be the best option to pull himself out and just get ready for the draft, or 2, take care of his health, stay another year and build it up next year?
That is a possibility that I was thinking of. Maybe he waits out a year. Maybe he doesn't, or this season doesn't sit well with him and he wants to at least get one more year under his belt.
I mean, obviously depending on how the bracket goes, but
yeah, exactly. Personally, I don't think he should shut it down. If I'm Peterson and whoever the hell is talking to Peterson, try to continue to play, because that is your saving grace right now in all of these arguments, is that you are trying to play at least. Because if you pulled yourself out, all the media is now completely right. Everybody just looks at you as a cancer in a locker room, and all you really cared about was conserving yourself for an NBA run rather than your team and helping the team win a championship in March. So in my personal opinion, it would benefit Peterson more to play, or at least try to play, and try to figure out some sort of chemistry with this team. Because as we've seen with the Jayhawks as well, the Jayhawks win either way. It's a win-win for them. He plays, you got the best player on your team on the court who can score 16 to 30 points on a whim. I mean, this kid's shooting percentage is on par with Steph Curry, and I'm not joking about that. And the other side of this coin, if he doesn't play, you've already proven that you have 2 valid leaders on this team already who have led this team to multiple major wins, including one over the number 1 overall team in the country a couple weeks ago. So obviously it doesn't hurt you either way if he plays or not. But if I'm Peterson and I'm looking to conserve my draft stock and I'm still looking to be the number 1 overall pick, which most of these kids are, because that means the most money, to be honest with you. And obviously everybody loves the idea of being able to walk around and say, I was picked first in the draft. Everybody loves that idea. But no, I did. Sitting out and conserving yourself for the draft is not a smart idea. So that'll answer the first part of your question. And 2, waiting around a year might not be the worst idea either. 1, to conserve yourself and obviously get back to the court and show that you could play a full season with Kansas. But 2, you would most likely be the number 1 overall pick next year if you waited. So it would probably be a smart move just for him as a whole. And you could quiet all of the media doubters that have been talking so much smack about you for the past couple months, saying that you just pull yourself out and you have an attitude problem, like this dummy.
Yeah, if you can stay healthy.
Yes, exactly. But again, until you could prove that, I'm not 100% sure exactly what direction he's going to go. And you've said it yourself to begin all this, until we know the full brunt of the information, we really don't know anything about this.
That's the weirdest part.
Like, is this a chronic thing? Because he didn't necessarily sit out a lot in high school, from what I understand. So this must have started, or this had to have started sometime this year, and it's knees and ankles, which are pretty pivotal in the sport of basketball here. So we need to know how severe these injuries are in order to really know and understand and sympathize with you. So unless you're willing to tell the entire world that and your health concerns,
That's what makes me nervous is that we're not hearing it, which makes me think it's a long-term thing. And I mean, with the 24-hour, sports entertainment, you can get it at the hand of your. I mean, it is just strange that we're not hearing it. Usually, we'll hear about the injuries immediately, and this has gone on for a while. And now we'll see. I mean, going into March Madness here in a couple weeks.
he played 30 minutes last night against Houston in their win, and he scored 14 points. Now, did the team look great with him on the court? Not as much as they look without him. But at least he played 30 minutes. So I think that has to go for something. I don't know. Again, this whole thing is just so weird. And I think you're right on the money. Until we know the full brunt of the information of what is wrong with you, it's hard really to defend or really shy away from this story as a whole. We'll see what happens with Kansas, though. Hopefully they'll be able to turn this around and we'll see some sort of run from them because they are a pretty damn good basketball team. And we'll see how that goes. The other story I wanted to bounce off you, though, before we actually get to our first guest of the day, the NFL is mulling a little bit of a change when it comes to the rules. They're thinking about allowing replay officials, to throw flags on plays that on-field officials did not see. So for everybody who's freaking out saying, well, now we're just, allowing replay officials to call flags, why even have referees at all? This is more for that instance where there was a scuffle that the referees didn't see and the replay clearly shows it and you can reward a flag for that. I could see how this could benefit the NFL, but I could also see how it hurts it because imagine this. Okay. There's a play in which let's take the Super Bowl, for instance, the scrum between Stephon Diggs and the corner Job. And there's a punch that was thrown and nobody saw it. So we all just go about our business. You call your play, you break the huddle, you come out, you're about to hike it, and then flag. You say, for what? And then they tell you, oh, it happened the last play. With the problem around sports gambling right now and rigging of games, quote unquote, again, I'm not saying that they're rigged. I'm just saying that people online consistently, when their team loses, this is rigged. How could you do that? Blah, 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 blah. This would only make that worse, in my opinion, because the phantom flag is what people are going to call it. And if it's not something that is blatant that should have been called, everybody's going to have a problem with this.
Oh, they're going to lose their mind.
Exactly. Because they're going to sit there and say, if that official didn't see that, why do you get to say that?
I think it takes it one step closer to what we've talked about earlier is
robots.
I mean, if we're going up to the booth for reviews for penalties now,
yep.
What's the next step?
I mean, you might as well.
It takes the human touch away from it.
It does. And you can no longer blame humans for messing up games.
Yeah. Why are refs even on the field?
Do you think that there's going to be a day here that we potentially see that? I don't think we ever see a day where we never see an official on the field. I think there's always going to at least be one, kind of like an umpire. But I think we're headed towards robot umpire or robot referees.
Oh, yeah.
The majority of flags being thrown.
Or I mean, even if it's just a human watching computers upstairs, I think it's happening. It's going to happen.
It's going to end up being like
until
that.
We get a new, like a prong type thing to move the ball.
Yep.
Like an arcade. I think that's the only chance.
I was like, it's all going to turn into that little electric football game you used to have in your house. When you just press the button and it goes. And
I see it happening.
And I think you're right.
And we're one step closer if this gets approved.
Is this a good thing or a bad thing, though?
I mean,
because one side of the coin, at least you know that they're going to be on top of it, that every flag will most likely get called and you won't have these games get dictated by bad calls. But the other side of this, again, as I highlighted before, you're going to have the copious amounts of fans online that are just going to call out and say that this is more rigging and this is more of the NFL throwing themselves in the middle of these football games. And I don't know if a lot of fans want that right now.
I mean, there was a story that came out yesterday about how much money was gained in Vegas because of that last penalty
Yep.
on the holding with Kenneth Walker's long touchdown at
Yep.
the end that stapled the game. And they said, well, I mean, there's holding on every call that you can go back and watch, but this one put it over the over
Right.
that was bet on Vegas. So, I mean, I think if this gets approved, which I would be surprised if they let this go. But if it does, we're just one step closer.
I couldn't agree more.
And our friend Daily Dave has some comments on the robots and the officiating.
Mr. Dave, how are you?
Good morning, guys. I think I mentioned it before. You know, like in the World Series, don't they add 2 more umpires in the World Series? Why not add some more people on the field to make the calls? You know, you see these old men that are 50, 60 years old trying to keep up with these 20-year-old gazelles running down the field to try to make the call. If you had more guys in place, or they're already in place, you know, so many field yards up the field, wherever, you know, and I've been an official before, so I know how important it is to hustle and try to be in the right position. So adding more on field, and of course, you still have the booth. You're never going to get rid of people on the field. You need the officials on the field. You have the ball moving around you. So I'm just
why? Why? If robots can do it and they can see it from the sky and see every part of the field, why would we need somebody on the field?
The ball has to be handled. The ball has to be placed. The ball has to be spun to the quarterback.
We got drones for that.
Yeah, we have drones for that.
Drones for that now. No, I see what you're saying, Dave. And honestly, you're right. I don't think there's ever going to be a day where we don't have at least one official on the football field or any sporting
to
field.
Reboot the computer.
Exactly. Yeah, they're going to be more of an IT guy now than the referee, though. But to your point, though, about adding more people to the field, adding more referees, as I told you the first time you brought this up, I just don't know if they have the manpower to do that.
They don't.
But is this allowing replay officials to throw flags? Would this not technically be the same thing? Now, you're not obviously putting the man on the field, but you're getting another pair of eyes on it. So would this not, in some regard, be exactly what you're asking for?
It is. You know, you're adding more officials to the actual game, whether they're up in the booth, up in the sky, not on the field. But I'm just for putting more officials on the ground, just like they do in the umpires in the World Series. They add more umpires.
Well, I totally understand where you're coming from. I mean, it's something we've talked about with snacks and even with any other sport. There's a shortage of referees and umps. And until the NFL, which I don't think they'll ever do, but until they dip into that money bag and make this a full-time gig,
which they're not going to do.
That
means more money is going to get allocated somewhere else.
When robots can do the job, why would they?
And
because
again,
then they want an insurance, they want a life insurance, they want all this other stuff, which I totally understand. The refs are the ones that get pooped on all the time.
Oh yeah,
and it's a rough job.
We talked about the survey a couple weeks ago that said exactly why. And all of these referees have to start at a youth level to really understand what the job is. And most of them get weaned out by bad parents and bad coaches who just want to be the big man and make them look like an idiot because, you know, they're the parent and the other guy's the referee. So it's again, I get your point and you're absolutely right. More eyes on a field would make it easier for referees to make calls, but there's a reason why we get that in the World Series. It's because nobody else is playing and they have plenty of manpower that they can throw out on the field. I just don't see that being the case for a regular season game. I can't see the NFL throwing 2 more referees out there during the regular season to every game. I just don't think they have the manpower to do that.
Especially now that they're traveling internationally,
Right.
they got all sorts of stuff. And I think they're trying to simplify that job as and cheapest way to do it.
Absolutely.
And until
I mean, that's business 101.
and people are gonna hate it until it works out for them.
Absolutely. And again, I see your point, Dave, and I appreciate your call. We do. I just don't know if we really have the manpower to pull that off as of right now. If we get a surge of kids who don't want to be athletes and want to be referees again, then sure. Yeah, absolutely. We could see an entire, generation of referees come in and change the game. I just don't think you're going to get that. Did we lose Dave already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I apologize. Have a good day, Dave. Real quick, I know we have about 2 or 3 minutes before we take our break and get to our guy Chris Orr, talk about all things Bakersfield Lacrosse as they get started. I believe their first game was last week or this week. I know he was telling me they play Garces coming up here, which is my alma mater, so we'll talk about that. We did, however, have a update from Lindsey Vaughn and her really serious and scary injury. Let's hear from her real quick. This is a little bit long, but you want to hear what she has to say. We played this on the Ralph Bailey show yesterday, and this injury, I think, was much more severe than anybody really realized at first. Let's hear from her.
Well, guys, after 2 weeks, I finally made it out of the hospital. It has been quite the journey, and by far the most extreme and painful and challenging injury I've ever faced in my entire life times 100. I'll give you the full rundown. Basically, I had a complex tibia fracture. Also fractured my fibular head, my tibial plateau, just kind of everything was in pieces. And the reason why it was so complex was because I had compartment syndrome. And compartment syndrome is when you have so much trauma to one area of your body that there's too much blood and it gets stuck. And it basically crushes everything in the compartment. So all the muscle and nerves and tendons, it all kind of dies. And Dr. Tom Hackett saved my leg. He saved my leg from being amputated. He did what's called a fasciotomy, where he cut open like both sides of my leg, kind of filleted it open, so to speak. Let it breathe, and he saved me. And I always talk about everything happens for a reason, but if I hadn't torn my ACL, which I would have torn anyways with this crash, if I hadn't done that, Tom wouldn't have been there. He wouldn't have been able to save my leg. So I feel very lucky and grateful for him, for this 6-hour surgery he put in on Wednesday to rebuild it, which went amazingly well. But I was in the hospital a little longer than I had hoped because I had a very low hemoglobin from all the blood loss of all the surgeries. I was really struggling. Pain was a little bit out of control, and I had a blood transfusion, and that helped me a lot. I turned the corner, and now I am out. So I want to say thank you to Tom and all the medical staff in Italy and Colorado that helped take care of me. It's been quite the journey.
I feel so bad for her. I really do. I mean, she took a risk doing this in general. And to have a crash happen that had apparently nothing to do with her
The
original injury
yeah,
is
piling more on.
And to almost lose your leg. I mean, if this isn't one of those this happened for a reason situations, I have no idea what is. If she didn't have that doctor, if she didn't, if that doctor wasn't there at that specific time, she could have lost her leg, and we'd be talking about a completely different story right now with Lindsey Vaughn. And I feel for her so much. I pray for her in her recovery. I think her dad is right, though. I don't think we will ever see her ski again, especially after this. But I hope she is able to find life after her sport and have all the success in the world afterwards, because she really did take a massive risk trying to do this. And it was one of those American stories that could have been really cool. So she
It's
did
like that
this for
other
her
chick
country.
that said she was faking it.
I know, really, God, for publicity. You know what, lady, go try this and let's see if you get to keep your leg. I felt so bad when I heard this yesterday. That's why I had to play it, because I know we talked about it a little bit, and this entire crash has been one of the major stories of the Olympics. But I just the thought that she broke her leg and almost lost it just because she wanted to do this. You want to talk about dedication, you want to talk about sacrificing your body. I never want to hear another person on the internet or otherwise say Lindsey Vonn didn't sacrifice everything for her country. She damn near lost her leg, dude. That is wild. I'm glad she's back in the States. I'm glad she's healing. And again, prayers out to her and her family. I hope whatever the next step for her is great, and we get to see more. Let's take a break. We got to get to our guy Chris Orr on the other side. We'll talk a little Bakersfield Lacrosse. And on the other side of that, we got some boxing news we'll get to before our guy KG at 8 o'clock talking all things wrestling. And J-Burd will be here at 8:30 as well to talk about his upcoming shows. I believe he's got the open mic still going at Roosters as well. So we'll talk about that and much, much more. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. can't play the Gorillas. And we'll have to sit there and listen to this. Did you see? I'm sorry, I know we got Chris Orr on the line, but did you see their latest video release or string of shorts they're doing now
with the whole new album?
Dude, this is gonna be interesting. This is one of those bands that I'm always interested, no matter what, just to see what they do. They're one of the coolest people in music, in my opinion. Welcome back to the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. We're also streaming video live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Feel free to join us on whatever social media platform you wish, including Instagram and TikTok. The Reels will be coming back very, very soon. I apologize. Opus Clips is actually having some issues lately, so I haven't been able to make anything.
They're back.
Are they
I
back
used them
now?
last night.
Oh, sweet. Thank God. I can actually do stuff today. So you'll have new clips coming out this week to make up for the lack of them the last couple of days. But we got to talk about Bakersfield Lacrosse because they start their season here very, very soon if they haven't already. And to talk about that and all things lacrosse and Giants football, because we have to get our thoughts or his thoughts on his new head coach, is our guy Chris Orr. Sir, how are you?
I am well. How are you, gentlemen?
I cannot complain, sir. All things are well on this end. Let's start with obviously Bakersfield Lacrosse. I apologize. I'm tongue-tied today. Did the season start already? Did you say you guys started last week or is it this week?
So we had preseason games before, even though we're club lacrosse, before the CIS season starts. The CIS schools are allowed to play, out of league stuff. So we actually went down and played a one-day tournament down in San Bernardino about 3 weeks ago.
Nice.
Which was good. I mean, we didn't win. The guys held up, but it boils down to some of these Southern California schools and Northern California schools are playing all year long. Doing various things, and some of our guys do that. We have guys that are on our team that play some of the fall leagues down in Santa Clarita and stuff. But it's an eye opener and it's a good lesson in teaching. I always appreciate when we play teams that are better than us because it helps you learn how to improve. So
iron
we
sharpens
started
iron.
the preseason stuff, and now we're into our regular season starting this Saturday.
Fantastic. And how did we do in the tournament?
We were 0 for 3. We ultimately, I think first game, it was like 8-2. Second game, I think it was like 7 or 8-5. The third game was kind of like 10-1. They were a really good high school team. They got some really, really good high school teams down in Southern California.
Fantastic. Well, at least you guys are going up against some pretty good competition. And like I said, iron sharpens iron, in my opinion. So the better competition, the better it is for you guys. You guys start on Saturday, though. What is going on Saturday? How can people get down there and check you out?
So we actually play the Rams. We always start off with the Rams since they're the other in-town team. It's always been kind of our, even though we're sister clubs, we come from the same, basically, the Bakersfield Youth Lacrosse. That'll always probably be our one of our most significant rivalries just because we've been doing it for years. So we start off with them on Saturday. It's at Garces High School, the lower field on the corner of Manor in Columbus. 10 o'clock is what we're slated for. Hopefully we use a reffing company out of LA. Hopefully we got the rest squared away so we're good to go. For people who haven't ever seen lacrosse or high school lacrosse, basically we run 4 12-minute quarters, with like a 10-minute intermission. If you've never seen the game live, come on out. It's fun and interesting. And if you've never watched lacrosse at all, just go on YouTube. The colleges, NCAA is in full swing, and there's some really great competitions. I'm a Syracuse fan myself because my best friend went there, so I've always kind of been drawn to Syracuse lacrosse, and they're holding their own right now. So,
and there's a professional league now as well, right? That I think people can go check out.
There's actually a couple of professional.
Are there?
There's So you have the one. There's one in professional indoor league that is running currently. And if people are headed down to San Diego, we were actually down in San Diego last weekend watching the Condors beat the Gulls in Chenga. So that was fun. But the Seals, which is the lacrosse team, plays in the same arena. That's going on right now. And then the PPL, the Professional Lacrosse League, which does basically right now they do a traveling city program where they go from city to city, and I think they're up to like 13 cities. They'll be playing in San Diego in June, which I'm going to go down and catch a couple of the games down there.
Fantastic. And then lacrosse is one of those sports in America that, in my opinion, is really finding a surge here with the younger generation. I think a lot of people are looking for different sports to go out there and try outside of just the traditional football, basketball, and all of that. With hockey, I mean, lacrosse has really seen a lot of people gain interest in it in the last couple of years. Do you think that there is going to be a time where we see every high school actually have a team, and is there going to be CIF certification here?
It will. Our push is for hopefully in 2 years. We are actually in the process of coming up in the next couple of months of going to meet with the CIF board directly.
Nice.
We have schools in Central Coast is actually in our section. Fortunately, they have 3 or 4 schools ready to go that are ready to make that leap right now. We've had a few athletic directors from a few high schools. I won't go into who, but that they said they're willing. And I think if we have enough volume of schools willing to make the commitment, they'll let us jump. Garcis's women's program is currently competing CIF, but they have to go to Fresno,
right?
Which is kind of a pain in the butt. We're hoping BCHS as a parochial school, it's a little bit easier for the parochial schools to make the leap, right off the board. We're hoping we want to talk to them and see if they'd be willing to do it. Because it's time. We're too far behind. I mean, it's just basically everywhere now, and we're kind of the area that's lagging, the Central Coast, Central Valley. So
how many schools do we need in order to make a league?
My understanding is you only need 4 committed.
Okay.
To get it going.
So we're sitting at 5 right now, I would assume, right? With Stockdale and Garcis here, and then the 3 over at in the coastal area.
Well, yeah, I mean, Stockdale was a club. Stockdale, not necessarily because we call ourselves the Mustangs, but that's just the logo we went with. So Stockdale is not. All our players are from different schools. I mean, for the Mustang program, we have kids from Liberty, BHS, Centennial, Frontier, but. I would love it if Stockdale is ready to make the leap. We've had a relationship with them because we rented their fields in the past for games. So
just from someone outside looking in, I mean, how many players does it take to fill a team?
Well, I mean, you have to. It's like soccer as far as on the field. You got for open field lacrosse, you have 10.
Okay.
3 defenders, 3 midfielders, 3 attack, and a goalie. You generally, we've played games with as few as 13, which only gives you 2 subs, and it's kind of like with hockey. I mean, try imagining trying to play a hockey game with only 2 substitutes coming in out on the midline. Yeah, so it gets you find out who's really been conditioning. When
I remember when I played football at Ridgeview, it was one of the first teams we had, and we had to play both sides of the field because we didn't have enough players. But when it comes to that, with players or students that play other sports, is this one of those things where where it lines up to other sports, whether it's a basketball player or a football player, but he wants to play?
Absolutely. I mean, you currently have right now. You have people playing in the NFL. You have an NBA player who are all college lacrosse players, and to a fault, if you ask any one of them, did lacrosse improve your basketball skills, your football skills? They would tell you yes. Chris Hogan played 4 years of scholarship lacrosse at Penn State, 1 year of community college football as a wide receiver, and then went into the NFL.
That's the biggest one that I always hear when people bring this up is Chris Hogan. But I mean, that's why I've always been interested in this sport, because it, to me, is that perfect blend between kind of a football and hockey kind of a situation. And for those players who are looking for something different, this is the sport that you're looking for. Like, I know I've heard so many people, especially in the hockey world, say you put a stick in someone's hand and they become a completely different person. God only knows what you could be as a lacrosse player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's why I'm so interested to see like, because I know now that I know that's not actually Stockdale, but is there another high school here that would be ready to go?
Like I said, we have like at least three ADs of various high schools who said that they were willing to make that jump. But everything, our processes, we thought we specifically had to go through the Kern, Kern Athletic, and we've come to find that we can actually go straight to CIF. We hope. We would love it for Stan Green to jump on board and be there with us.
Right.
But we're at the point we're not going to wait anymore.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I do not blame you. And because that was going to be my next question. Do you think, the first thing that popped in my head, now that we know Garces is obviously interested in doing this and can go full go, do you think all it'll take is just one of our high schools to really kick the door down, and then everybody else will look in and say, oh, hey, this is actually something we could get into as well?
Yeah, I mean, I do. And especially since we have the Central Coast schools that are right there and ready to go too. Like I said, since they're in our section, it only boosts the program. And then, the other thing I tell people when I say, play the sport because you love the sport. Yes. However, currently, the stats are, I think 1 in 11 lacrosse players are getting scholarships or financial aid for school in some way, shape, or form. I have one of my former players just got admitted to a doctor of osteopathy or a DO program, and he got drafted to his school as a lacrosse player out in Kansas. I have a player who went through Dominican University up north in the nursing program, drafted as a lacrosse player. So we've already had kids. I was at signing day for Liberty 4 years ago for a couple of these people. And it was funny because the AD's like, hey, we have so and so going for lacrosse, and the people in the stands are like, what? Because it wasn't at their school, but still signed scholarships to go to college under lacrosse. So.
Well, speaking of that, we had a listener that asked, is there any interest of having lacrosse over at our junior colleges, whether it's BC or Cal State?
That's a good point too.
Yeah, I would love to. It's a little bit funky with that. When we looked at it, with the junior colleges as a club program, I believe the club programs for junior colleges run their programs in the fall, which obviously competes with football.
Yeah, it's
kind of hard. If BC wants to look at going the junior college route for as far as the NCAA, that would be spring, and we would love it if somebody wants to get in touch and talk about it.
Yeah.
Especially if we get the high school programs going, CIF, then I think you would have an automatic feeder base for BC to be able to run.
Easily.
In that. And I think what's interesting, though, I believe currently, because of Title IX standards, I think CSUB actually is allowed to have a women's lacrosse program right now.
Really?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh, I'll have to poke my head in there and see what's going on with that. I did not know that. One thing before we shift over, I know we're running out of time here with you, and I appreciate your time. We talk a lot about the kids coming and playing the sport, but obviously you need referees and coaches as well to actually, man the teams in the games. What are the qualifications for that for people who are listening and would think maybe I can get into as a coach or a referee over there? So
the refereeing part, you can. Yeah, we use there's an organization based out of LA that we use them. It's a whole process for coaching now. If you want to come be a volunteer, and I direct people towards the BakersfieldYouthLacrosse.com website. We can't grow the program without new participants and enough coaching. As it is, I stepped away as the head coach of the Mustangs to be able to coach the youth program because we did not have a coach for that. So, and and I had plenty of coaches on the high school team, so we had plenty of them. So
Naturally.
it's basically you contact us, you sign up with USA Lacrosse, and then you do have mandatory background checks and a couple of courses online that you have to do, basically, for safety and all the standards for working with the children that anybody has to meet in this day and age, and understandably so. But you don't have to have any experience. We have plenty of other volunteers and coaches. We will take you step by step. Even if, we have kids' parents who are out with us that, just help out, shagging balls or setting up cones to start, we will take it bit by bit. And actually the person who is now the head coach for the Mustangs program had no lacrosse experience, came in and started with his kid like 7 years ago, getting his kid involved in lacrosse. And it's just an absolute, one of the most studious people I know, has studied the sport inside and upside down. And quite honestly, I think he's got more technical prowess on like offensive strategy than I even do, having played it since 1980. Because I was just a meathead midline, defensive midi who, focused on my stuff. So,
right.
Anyway, so yeah, you don't have to have any experience, and we need volunteers. We need more players in the youth program if we're going to sustain this.
Absolutely. Chris Orr is with us, Bakersfield Youth Lacrosse. Again, go to bakersfieldyouthlacrosse.com if you want to get involved either as a coach or a referee, or if your kid wants to try it out for themselves. There's plenty of opportunity in all of those areas. Sir, we are running out of time, and I do have an obligatory football question for you. We know you're a Giants fan. Your thoughts now with your new head coach? You think this is a good spot for Mr. Harbaugh?
I think the Ravens were idiots for letting him go,
I
but
agree,
your loss is my gain. So
I agree to a point, but at some point the levee had to break. He wasn't winning Super Bowls. You know what I mean? So, but hopefully he wins one for you.
When your quarterback's getting beat up, I mean, it disrupted their entire season.
True.
Injuries, in my opinion, but.
Well, that's absolutely fair. So, sir, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you as always. We will continue to pump up Bakersfield Youth Lacrosse, and we'll have you on again very soon.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, gentlemen.
Thanks, brother. You too. We got to take a break. Our guy KG on the other side, talk all things wrestling. We had AJ Styles' retirement speech last night. I don't know. Brother, that was the cool part, was the dead man coming out and telling him he's in the Hall of Fame. I don't think this is it for our boy AJ, though. I'm going to explain that on the other side as well. With our boy KG, this is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Welcome back. Early bird special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. And it's 8 o'clock on a Tuesday, which is the best time of the week for me because I get to talk wrestling for 30 minutes with our guy, 24KG. We have to test something first, though, because we had technical issues last week. Can you hear us this week?
Yes, indeed, sir. Salutations.
Thank God.
Thank you, baby Jesus.
Oh, my God. Dude, you have no idea. This thing gives me so much stress. So much stress.
Young man ulcers.
I don't need that. I don't need to be a brawn breaker right now. No. And actually, we're going to start. So I presented this point at the beginning of the show, my friend. Last night, we had another major injury. Bronson Reed of the Vision goes down with a torn.
Unfortunately.
I think it's pretty. It's pretty well established on the internet, at least from people that I've seen and people like reactors and stuff that watch this and are pretty well knowledgeable in what they're talking about. They all think that was a shift. Jay winning last night. It was supposed to be Bronson as the final person in the Elimination Chamber. But
True.
do you think that the faked injury by Seth Rollins a couple months ago is kind of what caused this downward
The bad
spiral, the bad juju on the entire faction as a whole in terms of injuries? Because now your top 3 stars of that entire faction are out, and so much so that they let Paul Heyman, although this was probably in the cards anyway, but they let Paul Heyman go out there and be the mouthpiece for Brock Lesnar once again as well, which we'll get to later on.
Well, unfortunately for Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, ever since the Seth Rollins injury, this is unfortunate timing. WWE seems to be getting bit by the injury bug more so now than ever in company history, but there's been a time where they've been down and depleted like this before, and new stars rose to the occasion. It was a different time, different regime there. Well, actually, before I say do I and pose a question, I'll just say, yes, I have certain feelings of reservation about it because you never want to see your favorite athletes or performers get hurt. Never.
Mhm.
I do feel sorry for them because those 2 names that I mentioned were built to benefit from this the most. The vision was supposed to launch these new young superstars into a stratosphere of top guy status. And with these injuries, it's kind of hard to do that. I really feel bad for Bronson Reed. Last year he injured his foot, couldn't make WrestleMania. 2 years, and then this year he tears a bicep and he can't make this WrestleMania. With the plans going further and further down the toilet, him becoming the de facto standout guy in that group wasn't hard to see, and what he was being positioned for. Do I feel sorry for creators? Hell no. F no. Because this makes them have to get up off their butts and write something decent. Actually put something together instead of this chat GTPT storylines we've been seeing get just pushed out on the air. And I'm saying that as something that some stories just don't have any weight or make any sense right now. Maybe they're just not supposed to and they're just filling up time. But unfortunately, this is where WWE's at now. And I'm not saying it's karma for jacking up ticket prices and, making it to where you have to put a car payment down just to go see an event. But I can't really feel sorry for the company. I do feel sorry for the athletes, though.
So a question that is posed in our YouTube feed right here by Tommy Gunn as well. Do you think that the lowering of house shows is leading to a lot of these injuries? Because house shows
Absolutely.
practice.
Absolutely. That was a great comment right there.
It could just be like the NFL. The more or the less you take,
the more repetition,
the more can come. So,
and this is something that we're seeing. I'm not going to say that AEW is doing anything similar to that, but they still run house shows in their region to keep their wrestlers. And not only that, they allow them to go other places to get more reps in with other companies. I do agree with that comment. The lack of house shows has dropped the lack of reps. With that being gone, you're prone to have more injury. It's common sense. It's like if you never practiced for an NFL game.
Obviously, with the sport as well. I mean, it's going to happen.
Absolutely. And again, I didn't even consider that until I read that, to be honest. But it's just like the NFL situation. The more you take away padded practices, the more likely you're going to get some sort of major injury because your body's not used to that kind of punishment.
And we've had a couple of listeners text in the same question. Do you guys think it's a work? I think we all agree that was a real injury.
Well,
it looked like it anyways.
That again, that was actually going to be my next question to both of you. What's the percentage you think that this is all a work for both of them, Bronson and Braun? That maybe
you go poking the bear sometimes. The universe have a way to crap right back on you. Maybe this fake injury that they threw out there to go, look, we got you, and this is the result of it. Universally, karmically, unfortunately, for those two guys, this group is dead in the water.
I think both of them are real. Personally, I mean, knowing the Bronson for sure. Last night when I saw him, and I had to rewind it because I was like,
on
"What?"
His face, dude. Like the minute he broke up that,
he looked at his arm. You knew it. You knew something was serious.
And he would have finished the match, I think, if it wasn't as drastic it was. But that obviously brings up the question: is with the hooded man? I mean, now he really has no one to really attack. I mean, they're going to have to, like KG said, those writers are going to have to get back into the office, and they get paid to write up these curveballs and change ups. I don't think it'll be that difficult, but it's going to be a major change up.
Yeah, and it's like I said last week, this is probably the best time for this to happen for the WWE because the roster is so deep.
Right.
You have plenty of talent in this roster that you can make up for all of the injuries and the missing pieces. As much as people probably don't want to see it, now you can shift the MFTs and the Wyatt Six feud into a WrestleMania match if you wanted to, and it could open up the door for another match that they weren't even considering for WrestleMania yet, like we see a lot of these great title matches that get left on the cutting room floor for either SmackDown the night before or Raw the day after Mania. You could actually see that move into the Mania scene now because the Vision won't be a part of it, or at least won't be as big of a part of it. Who will be a part of it, though, is the other side of Paul Heyman's coin from last night, the Brock Lesnar call out. Who do you guys think it's going to be? I have three names in mind. Oba is definitely one of them, but I'm going to throw out one here that I don't think a lot of people are considering because we haven't seen him on a show yet, but he is obviously signed with the company. And I just got done watching his interview with Stephanie McMahon the other day, and it is fantastic. But what about Royce Keys? I think Royce Keys versus Brock Lesnar would be an incredible way to get Royce's career started in the WWE. And if he can beat Brock, now you have a brand new beast that you can just throw out there whenever you need it. You have a face or a heel that could stand up now against guys like Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Gunther, all of these guys that, I mean, desperately are looking for a new face to get thrown into the middle of some of their matches outside of guys like LA Knight, who I think is going to get a push here, hopefully. But I mean, it would make sense to me that they give Royce Keys the keys to the kingdom with a match against Brock Lesnar at Mania.
Nah, I think he'd come out and get booed because everybody wants to see Oba. Keep it real, man. That sounds sweet. But in all actuality, I think really Brock Lesnar's opponent is just gonna remain a mystery till WrestleMania.
Probably.
They're gonna probably have him with some tune-up matches, a warm-up match here or there with somebody. Feed him a Zack Ryder, feed him a Otis or somebody like that along the way. And they might, hey, whomever it is, it might just be the guy that's in the box. For all we know.
You know what?
Literally,
it could absolutely be whoever the hell comes out of that box.
I personally think they're going to let him run through Rusev. I think Oba and Rusev for the next month, and then I think how they set it up where they showed the 6 or 7 dates that Brock will be there throwing it out. I think they'll season it, and by that time, the Oba probably run through Rusev and set him up perfectly to come out. And dude, can you imagine the pop when he comes out?
No, I agree with both of you. Uba was the first one that came to mind. I'm just saying, if you wanted to throw this bone to somebody else, Royce Keys could be a great one to throw out there.
What I can appreciate, though, is the way Paul Heyman did set that up and remind everybody about how Brock Lesnar destroyed the Undertaker streak. So that main event spot is now Brock Lesnar's. And we haven't really seen that lately. And I was like, I like the way he did remind us, because we all kind of forgot about that real quick with all the things that have been going on with, suspensions and lawsuits and changing of the company and all these other things. Certain aspects of WrestleMania have slipped between the proverbial fingers of a pay-per-view that we're traditionally used to watching. But, for what it was last night. Oh, go ahead.
The only other name that pops up to me is Randy Orton.
I can see Randy going one-on-one again.
Randy needs to run his fade back. Yeah.
Like, because that does leave Randy open for a match at Mania too, because there's really not a whole ton brewing for him. And I don't think they're going to actually give Randy a shot at that belt until Cody gets it back. Because that's
or you could see Gunther.
Yeah, that's the other one that popped in my head was does Gunther.
Because the way they kind of set that date list up was like, would it be considered a retirement tour? Like these are Brock Lesnar's last stops before WrestleMania. It was eerily similar.
True, and I agree, but I think that was more just to sit there and say, these are the dates you have until WrestleMania, and then you have no more shot to go up against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. I don't think this is them saying this is Brock's last ride, but then again, it might be, because we just saw AJ, hang up his gloves yesterday. John Cena just hung up his, so it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that you're right, and that's actually a retirement tour.
Yeah, they could be keeping it secret because Brock Lesnar doesn't like to, show any vulnerability or whatnot, or compassion, emotion, or even for the fact that he's human, I think. But yeah, so it could be, and you never know with these guys.
This is true. This is absolutely true.
This is the devil we're talking about. TKO, WWE.
Talking about AJ Styles and his retirement speech yesterday, I thought it was really cool that the WWE even brought back the Good Brothers and everybody that was connected to AJ to be there for this day. Is this really the end for Styles, though? I have my doubts. I really do. I know he sat there and said, I wanted to wait to hang up my stuff until I got home. But something tells me that we're going to see at least one more appearance or match from him. Maybe not at WWE, but definitely in TNA. There's something that makes me believe there's a spot in TNA for him.
I agree with you to a degree. I think WWE are masters of timing and manipulation, and I'll tell you why. The best thing on last night's show, Javon Evans, Kofi Kingston. There was another match that really stood out. It was supposed to be great, but it ended up ending in injury, which was, the qualification match. Bronson Reed unfortunately got injured. It's, and then the AJ Styles retirement segment. Other than that, Raw was crap to me. I felt like the women's match was great. I felt like the crowd just really was not into it for some reason. But when AJ Styles came out, the crowd should have reacted way more intense. This was Atlanta, Georgia. The fact that they let him get through it without being interrupted or hit by a chair or something, I was very surprised at. I was expecting that. But I think, and this is when you see genuine surprise on people's faces, the fact that Undertaker came out at the end and told him he was inducted into the 2026 Hall of Fame immediately, I felt like was an honor. Great. Awesome look. The aesthetic. But really, this was WWE sinking their claws into him for another year to monetize and just really get everything that they can out of AJ Styles before he has his time to separate from the company, like most Hall of Famers, to go do whatever they want, wherever they want. And this was their way of getting a last bit of that phenomenal cash flow out of good old AJ Styles, his merch. You notice they had the belts, the shirts, the gloves, the this, that you can all buy on WWEshop.com. Where was this push when he was active?
Right. Where was this push during the retirement match? And that's the other thing that I keep trying to wrap my head around. He's in talks right now, from what we understand, with the company to renew a contract, which means he's going to be there at some point Shane,
I believe as a coach, something.
maybe, but the thing that I keep trying to wrap my head around too, though, if this was the case and he was retiring, why does Gunther come out and rub it in everybody's face? There's no way that's to increase the feud between him and Dragon Lee, or is
Poor
it?
creative. Poor creative, bro.
I don't know if it's poor creative or if that was just the setup for AJ's return.
We just haven't got the rest of the story yet.
Exactly. Where he beats Gunther at some point down the line, maybe at Mania. I don't know.
It doesn't hurt to be hopeful.
Right.
And I wish I had that same optimism, but with the track record of the company doing its veterans wrong for some reason, it's like they get off on it. I wouldn't have too much faith in anything more than what we just seen. And I think honestly that was probably the most respectful way I've seen a wrestler be retired in the last few years because
True.
as much as I want to give John Cena his credit, and I give it all to him for the last 25 years, but the way they handled his retirement tour was a little crappy.
True, but what do you mean by they don't take care of their vets? I want you to expand on that real quick before I say
Okay,
that.
Kurt Angle's last match. You really want to see Baron Corbin?
Fair. No, that's absolutely fair. That one definitely.
Okay, there are other examples we could go further back on. And let's just say we'll just chalk it up to previous administration, whatever, how Vince felt about certain things and not letting the IPs of his characters go a certain direction creatively. I understand that. But lately, it just hasn't been that spectacular when wrestlers fade to the PC as a coach.
Okay. Because I what I was gathering from it was like they're not winning their final matches, which
no, that's tradition. That's tradition. You always go out lights up. That's tradition.
Exactly. So it's like that's why I'm saying I don't necessarily think that they're fumbling them in that regard. I think it's more. I agree with you that yes, the Kurt Angle Corbin whatever match back then wasn't exactly what everybody wanted, but at the same time, Baron Corbin was huge at the time for what he did to Becky and all of this other stuff that he was doing, catching heat as a heel. So
was he really? He was happy Corbin. They had him go through a poor phase, a broke phase, a get back on phase. He lost his family. Then he had Madcap Moss. This guy was a Vegas dad Corbin, for Christ's sakes. Like it was a bad look.
I'm not saying he's John Cena, but he was the next heel they were trying to build. Just like they were doing with Gunther right now, they're trying to build this guy to be somebody that's disliked within the company, which is why they fed him, Kurt Angle. Again, he even says that he shouldn't have been Kurt Angle's last match. I concede that. But
at least he admits it.
Creative trying something, that I think was just them throwing some spaghetti against the wall and trying to figure out what sticks. So
we are at the pro level of professional wrestling entertainment. Nobody should be throwing spaghetti at the wall idea-wise to see what sticks. They are being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to get in that creative with Triple H, Vince McMahon, whomever is there, and give us high-quality product. TKO, I'm not going to say it's the death of wrestling. Wrestling will never die, but just the way that they do there's certain practices, behind the scenes that we're not privy to that we may think we know online or reading the dirt sheets or watching Unreal or whatnot, but there is something seriously defective in that creative room. And I think now with all these injuries,
he always says,
I don't think it is either. But again, I appreciate the opinion.
It's doing its job because it's pissing people off.
Look.
That's
people talking
that's
about
what wrestling is.
But look.
I personally think
you think he's out?
Yes. There's no way he's coming back. There's no way they will write something with all this and just throw it away for him to come back in one match.
Not a WWE event, but I can see him over at TNA. I could see him maybe having one more match with Kazarian, or you know what I mean? Like,
how many times did Ric Flair retire? I feel you. I feel you.
My point is that AJ Styles to me fits that MO. He's somebody who's been in wrestling his whole life, and I just don't see that
whole thing about being the best dad that he wasn't. It just hit home where it was like, okay, but back to the story. I mean, WWE or wrestling in general is doing its job because it's one, pissing off some viewers for certain
A
things,
lot of
whether
the
it's the
internet
writers.
viewers.
I'm personally
Yeah.
upset because I'll say it every week. I was upset about another women's match. That Natty match was just so stupid. And I'm like, you can keep
At this
trying to
point,
feed me.
her just killing Maxine every week too.
Yeah.
Who got
What,
her?
like, yeah, why did they even build her up and put the IC title on in the first place if they were just going to
No, but
dog walk her every week?
my last question that I had is going back to Grayson Waller. Now that he has shown face, and now that the guy that was supposed to be in the hooded area, are they just throwing these guys in just to kind of mess with you to see?
Yeah, just to see.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah.
And honestly,
At this point, it's a troll job. It's a
Right.
troll job.
absolutely. I think at this point, him not being in any matches for the New Day is all I need to see to know that he is the masked man. Because if you were part of New Day, you would be in a lot of these matches as Big G.
I don't
But he
know.
hasn't been wrestling with the New Day at all.
I mean, he jumped
don't-
into the match,
He's
but
just
that was
kind
about
of
it.
been there.
Yeah.
He's not really interfering in the matches. He's not helping Kofi.
But my question is, now that with the another injury through the vision, I mean, are they going to try to throw another curveball into this? Where
I wouldn't doubt it.
they can use that. I mean, obviously, with no one knowing 100% who it is, maybe they can use this to kind of
Seth and-
curve out of it.
Seth and Grayson against Austin and Logan.
Maybe.
I don't know. With the masked man thing, they can shuffle guys in and out of that all they want till it's revealed to be whomever it is. So, just because Grayson Waller has a goatee and all that stuff, and we see the guy come out, it can still be him. It doesn't matter at this point.
Right.
Hey, they're using this masked man gimmick to death, but either way, it's gonna develop into something, and we'll see what it is.
With Uso taking that last spot, both of the chamber matches are all set.
It's playoff time.
I mean, even looking at the women's side,
President's time.
the women's side looks like it's going to be a great match.
Oh, yeah,
but
absolutely.
the men's, I'm just looking at it, I'm like, it could go either way.
So the men's, we have what? Jey Uso, Randy Orton, LA Knight, Cody. Oh God, who are the last two? Oh, Trick and Javon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Trick and Javon are going to show out. I would tell you right now. I feel like they're going to have the best showing throughout this entire match. I don't know who wins that.
Exactly.
I really don't.
I would lean probably Cody, but anybody could
write off Trick and Javon just because obviously they're not going to give them a shot against Drew this early. Cody is a great opportunity, but can I just say the quiet thing out loud? Please give it to LA Knight. Please give it to LA Knight. I am so tired of us not getting this main push for him and him just getting fed to these factions and just, injured or sent through cars. And I desperately want to see LA Knight legitimately get a shot at a belt, and going against Drew McIntyre, that is a legitimate shot. I don't know who comes
I agree.
out.
I can agree with you on that one. I wouldn't mind seeing Randy Orton either, but I think LA Knight more so than anybody deserves it right now.
And what about the women's?
That's the one.
It's quite predictable. Rhea Ripley.
Really?
You think so?
Predictable.
The one that made sense.
And I'm playing it safe. I'll play it safe as well with that. I'm not going to get too crazy and say, "Oh, Alexa and this and that," even though I think Alexa has a fair shot because the crowd has really been behind her. But safe money's on Rhea.
I'm going to take Tiffy. I think Tiffany wins because obviously they can put a one-on-one between her and Jade, and we've already seen that it's actually pretty good. They're both athletic enough to make a pretty good match. Not to mention, I've noticed that every other person in this match is part of a tag team, and it would only make sense to me that you're building essentially a 4-way or a 5-way tag match for the women's belts at Mania. And what better way to do that than to have one of each of the team beat up on each other at Elimination Chamber and build heat.
Do you think Rio loses the titles next week?
I don't know if they lose them. I think they go in with them, but I don't think they walk out of Mania with them.
Yeah, because if Rhea wins this, wouldn't she get a Mania match? And I'm already seeing it on the wall with.
Oh yeah, they would drop the titles beforehand.
And Io, I think with them teamed up last night in that triple threat, I was like, okay, we're gonna see Io and Kyrie
at
back
some
again
point.
because
Yeah.
that was one of my favorite tag teams when they were together.
Absolutely.
But I'm just not throwing spaghetti on the walls. But I'm seeing, Rio kind of. I don't know if it's gonna be to who are they? They got a match this weekend, right?
No. The only other matches this weekend are CM Punk and Finn Balor, and then AJ and Becky.
Well, was it SmackDown that they were previewing the next match for the tag team partners? So I don't know when that is, but
probably Friday.
Probably Nia Jax and
Lash
take those titles off them.
That's who I think. Yeah, they're building a lot of heat for those.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you have enough momentum to really give it to them yet. And
they're too big, too strong.
Yeah, I think they're gonna split Kiana James and Julia at some point too, because Kiana, they strapped the rocket to her back after the Royal Rumble and her incredible performance there. So
me personally, I want Asuka to win it, but I don't see it happening.
Well, the only reason I don't know if Rhea's going to win it, unless they want to double up on her and she does 2 matches for Mania like Seth did, and she does one night and one the other.
If anyone could.
Yeah, if any of the women could. Rhea. But Raquel, obviously, that's also on the table. I know I said that a couple weeks ago. There is a lane here where you could have Raquel sneak her way into that Stephanie and Liv match. And then we have the splintering of Judgment Day and all of that too.
Well, Raquel against Jade would be a great match too.
Yeah, you know, and that actually would. That would, if there's any woman that can go pound for pound strength wise with Jade Cargill, it's Raquel. So I think would be Raquel and
the Monster Mommies.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
On that.
Yeah. Pause.
Real quick, we only got a minute left. I wanted to throw this at you before we got out, but over the week we had an MJF appearance at Hall of Glory or House of Glory.
House of Glory, yes. I watched that match.
Do you think this is AEW trying to extend themselves once again into the indie scene, or is this them trying to pull Zilla Fatu away from the WWE and onto their promotion? Because that's what I saw.
Both. I literally saw both. I agree with you, Chris. The courtship of AEW and the young prince of the Samoan dynasty is in full flourish right now.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Khan is doing his best to send his feelers, antennas, and incentives Zilla Fatu's way, because if you can grab one of the genuine Fatus, I think it's going to boost interest in the company and nonetheless give this guy room to make mistakes without being under the pressure, spotlight, and expectations of his family's name in WWE. He's been doing his thing on the indies. We're not getting that twisted. But he does need a little bit more exposure, professional experience. I think the experience with TNA really gave him that bug of, I really want to do more national television, but it didn't help that it was soured by Rikishi. So why would you want to have anything to do with family that you don't mess with in a business that you're still navigating? You got plenty of family friends that knew your father that are looking out for you, and you can actually see it benefiting him with his in-ring work right now. I think the match against MJF told us a lot. I think it showed character on MJF, on how he knows how to work with anybody you throw him in there and make it look good. And Zilla Fatu on the levels that he can actually reach, and his selling, his fluid motion, the back and forth. It was very safe, but it looked like they were having fun.
Right.
And that's what you really miss watching in certain wrestling matches that I think people are more so attracted to on this indie scene now, whether it's House of Glory or wherever you're watching it. House of Glory seems to be one of the bigger ones. But it was a great match, and I agree with you, Chris. Like, AEW is not wasting time.
No,
with Zilla
they're doing it right. They're doing what WWE used to do, and they're sending people out there to really kind of pull their people in. But
yeah,
I think you hit it right on the head. It's the freedom that comes with working with AEW. He'd still be able to do all of the online stuff that he does currently. The WWE would honestly get in the way of that and want to control it. So that's why it popped in my head when I saw MJF say, "I'm going to House of Glory and I'm taking on Zilla Fatu." And I said, "Excuse me." First off, I want to watch that anyway, just because that's wrestling gold.
Great match.
Yeah, no, I said this is them essentially sending their champion out there to scout young talent and say, you deserve to be with us because they won't do it right with you. So I'm glad that we're on the same page on that one. We have run out of time though, my friend. Thank you for yours, and we will talk to you next week.
Hasta luego, hot potatoes.
All right, brother. We got to take a break. We got our guy J-Burd in the house. He'll be joining us here right after it. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk.